Welcome into this segment of Behind the Pen presented by mostvaluablepodcast.com. If you want to listen to the full podcast, go to blogtalkradio.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Also, we're on iTunes, so check us out there as well. Thank you all for listening as always, and enjoy the show.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome in, my friends, to another episode of Behind the Pen. My name is Mike Rankin, and I will be your host for today's show. And boy, am I excited to speak with you in this podcast because I have so much to cover, especially in the Chicago sports world. Chicago Bears draft, Ryan Pace, you're a man, what are you doing? Selecting an FCS player and 2 Division II prospects and 5 draft picks. Ryan Pace, you're a madman, that's all I'm saying. Bulls really kind of ended up where we all expected them to, right? We started this season predicting mediocrity, that's what they were, and then 8th seed, bounced in the first round of the playoffs. Gave Boston a fun 4 games, maybe. Obviously, the first 2 with the Bulls coming out victorious. That was fun to watch. Rajon Rondo was playing great, and that's part of the reason why he's coming back next year. I have so many Bulls thoughts. Can't wait to throw them your way. Also got to talk Chicago baseball. What is happening on the South Side? Well, let's explain it, and I'm going to do that in this podcast because the White Sox are around 500. The Cubs, meanwhile, underwhelming to say the least. As a guy who is a fan, of course, I'm not going to not admit that, but, you know, coming in with all of these expectations and you see this product, it's like, well, we're almost halfway through May here, Mr. Joe Madden. What's going on with the Cubs? I'm going to talk about all of it in this show, so please stick around if you could on blogtalkradio.com/behind the pen. Full-length podcast can also be found on iTunes and Stitcher. Check those out if that floats your boat. YouTube, because first thing I want to talk about, oh man, Chicago Bears conversations coming at ya. It's been a little bit. So, I wonder what happened while I was gone and not recording podcast in the Chicago Bears world. Jay Cutler, a part of a 3-man broadcasting crew with Fox. Are you kidding me? This is awesome. We're going to watch Bears games with Jay Cutler announcing Bears games. But let's be honest, he's too good of a quarterback to not be on a team by week 4. But hey, the Bears are bad, and I'm not sure what broadcast team he's on. Is that the second? Because maybe the Bears could have a game. Anyway, sorry. I really can't help myself when it comes to Jay Cutler in the news. But anyway, actual conversation. Let's have it. Bears, 3rd draft for Ryan Pace. And what is this? What is this draft? 5 picks the Bears end up with, and that has a lot to do with what they did in the first round. 3rd overall, moving up 1 spot, got Mitch Trubisky. If you want to hear my reaction along with Sean Anderson of The Fast Break, check it out over on YouTube. It's there, and it was a great conversation. Reacted to it 3 hours after the pick. Blew our minds. Really, we did not see this coming, and I believe a lot of you can relate. But with this quarterback situation, and I mentioned Glennon, Trubisky's going to be the 3rd guy behind Sanchez because it only makes sense. You're not going to put this guy in right away, especially with all the money committed to Glennon. You're doing it a favor for him to compete for a job down the line, or, you know, if things don't work out with Trubisky, they have a safety cushion in Glennon because they have him under contract control. So it's interesting what the Bears decided to do in this draft because there's a lot of what's in here. 2 Division II prospects and an FCS pick. Tariq Cohen, the FCS guy, in the 4th round. Man, this is a draft that Ryan Pace really had to nail in the, I guess, developmental process that is the Chicago Bears. John Fox in his 3rd season, entering his 3rd season. 4 years on the contract that he signed. So, I mean, he's playing for his job this year. And I have to say that early on because last year was a disaster and there were rumblings. That conversation was sort of being had, not really taken seriously because year 2, if you regress, it happens in football. But now the Bears are stockpiled with depth. I really, really like their depth, especially defensively, to be at least competitive and we could see actual progress. If John Fox isn't a part of it, I'm fine. I don't know how he's going to respond in year 3, but let's talk about really the focus of this segment, and that is the draft. Interesting stuff from Ryan Pace. A route that has a lot of critics scratching their heads, I guess, in the approach, because there were so many guarantees in this draft. The Bears could have done so much. I mean, they took Adam Shaheen, right? D2 tight end, who's a beast, 280 pounds, 6'5", 6'6". Guy's a tank, right? Division II player, the level of competition, obviously he's going to dominate it, but I think with that pick specifically, the Bears looked at his skill set and valued it so that they drafted him in the second round. Now, when they made that move, obviously they have to acquire more picks. They got they got 2 picks from Arizona in this draft. One of them was a round 2 pick, and then they got a 4th out of it as well. Arizona, meanwhile, selects Budda Baker, a safety with a lot of tools that scouts have been saying will translate very well into the NFL. An athletic safety, pretty much a guaranteed pick as far as guaranteed picks go in the second round, because you got to remember, they evaluated talent in this draft from like 15 to 50. These guys were competitive. Maybe that's a little exaggerated, but they're around the same kind of athletic sphere, right, in terms of competition level. So a lot of talent in this draft, and the Bears take so many questions, Shaheen being one of them. Now, I mentioned the skill set. He's a beast. He's fast. Ryan Pace said it himself. Shaheen carries his weight well, and he can catch the ball out of the backfield. The question is, now people are saying, baby Gronk, shut up. Like, we'll see. Who knows? Division II tight end, come on. For him to be that, he has to be on the field, which means he has to be ready to play every down and do things a tight end needs to do to be able to stay on the field. Are you going to block on each side? Are you going to be able to go out and be your safety cushion as a receiver? It's just stuff like that has to be on a consistent level. I mean, the Bears, looking at their depth chart now at tight end, Zach Miller healthy, he's a productive player, an above average receiver as well. Deion Sims, that signing was a nice signing, right? So you have depth here. Ben Broniker, undrafted tight end, I believe, out of Harvard last year. So two young tight ends, a veteran, and Zach Miller, who just has to stay healthy. What is Zach Miller? Veteran? In betweener. But you figured the Bears were going to take a tight end, but the question was when. And they pounced at 45. Shaheen's probably going to be in the regular rotation. It's just, let's see how he translates in the NFL. You can't evaluate the talent with the talent he's around, because he's just throwing people with one arm. So it's a ballsy pick again for Pace to make this offense somewhat more athletic. I mean, we have to be moving towards the Trubisky era, so Shaheen's a nice start, I believe, with some of the things that the Bears have already. Kevin White hopefully can be healthy, Cam Meredith, an athletic wide receiver. We'll get into all that depth chart in a little bit. Let me move on, because the Bears really didn't have another pick until round 4, late. They acquired a 4th rounder from Buffalo, this is probably their most guaranteed pick. Eddie Jackson, the safety out of Alabama, secondary piece. You like it when you look at the competition over there. Quentin Demps, you believe, is going to be there along with Adrian Amos to start the season as your 2 safeties, but it adds competition. You have a guy in Eddie Jackson who could be there for years or can eventually overtake Amos or Quentin Demps. So it's one of those things where, are you going to rely on Jones Quartet? You don't really have to rely on a guy like Chris Brzezinski if Eddie Jackson can come in and translate well, and that's the goal. Deion Bush, a lot of inactives last year, healthy scratches. So that was probably, like I said, the most guaranteed pick that Ryan Pace made all draft, and then it just kept going down this tailspin of what, right? Tariq Cohen, running back, North Carolina A&T, an FCS school, at pick 119, just 7 picks later. Tariq Cohen, this running back, he's like 5'7", does backflips, can catch a ball in both hands. Yeah, great, but can you avoid all of these guys, NFL linebackers coming in and trying to tackle you? Cohen is low to the ground, very physical, strong. So if you have a question about him maybe handling the blocking schemes that maybe NFL offenses are going to throw at him, that'll be interesting how his blitz pickup translates, because as a small guy, you figure he's going to get beat a lot, but they have an idea. Comparisons, Darren Sproles, I'm going to be lazy, so I'm going to use it. the thinking there is you have a guy in Jordan Howard, your bang boom guy on the line, physical running back, get you the guaranteed amount of yards. He's going to fight. We saw him fight through so many injuries. Once he got playing time, the second leading rusher in the NFL. Jordan Howard, solidified running back. Behind him, how much confidence do you have? Jeremy Langford, your guy, Kadeem Carey, was supposed to be sort of the Darren Sproles type in terms of receiving out of the backfield. Quick, shifty, right? Can do things for you on third down, but how much do they value him? So that running back situation is interesting. They signed Benny Cunningham, too, from the Rams. So he's probably more of a special teams guy. He's like I'm blanking. And I hate myself for it. And he went to the Falcons, had a decent. Anyway, just another one of those running backs. He's just irrelevant. I'm sorry, Bears fans. I hate myself right now. I do, but I gotta move on. So in the fourth round, 119. Help me out in the comments. Zona, that pick from Arizona, results in a running back. A running back in the fourth round with all these defensive talents still on the board. I hope you know what you're doing, Mr. Ryan Pace and Jordan Morgan. He was their fifth round selection, 146 overall, and that'll do it. That caps Ryan Pace's third NFL draft with the Chicago Bears in a rebuilding program that saw their team in year 2 go 3-13 and have 19 players go on injured reserve. And, well, the quality of your backups, the quality of your depth is built in the draft to eventually emerge into everyday pieces that help you win a championship. And the Bears haven't been doing that well in terms of drafting for consecutive years prior to Ryan Pace coming into play. Jerry Angelo's latter years in the draft, some names still relevant in Chicago Bears, at least successful careers in the NFL, specifically with the Bears. You move on to Phil Emery. Those guys, oh my gosh, so many are on other teams or out of the NFL. Will Sutton was just cut as well today. That was a Phil Emery pick, if I'm not mistaken. So you got to build through the draft, and this is a leap. Now, a lot of high ceiling guys. Trubisky, let's talk about him a little bit because the plan, I already mentioned it earlier in the show. He's your third quarterback unless something catastrophic happens. Bears are terrible, might as well throw him in. I don't even know why you would do that now. It depends, but we don't assume Trubisky is going to be a part of things here. I'm excited about him, though. I think his skill set will translate to the NFL. I'm going to say that. I think he's going to have success, and I'm rooting for him because I really haven't seen the Bears go this route really ever in their lives in terms of being conservative as a franchise. Definitely weren't in this draft. A lot of high-ceiling guys. Tariq Cohen, I'm interested to see kind of implement his way into the lineup. He could be a force on special teams. But we won't be able to evaluate talent until 2 or 3 years down the road. That's how drafts work. That's how young prospects work. So until then, we just have to sit back and root for the Bears to maybe win 6 games. I'll take that. Maybe, probably. Yeah, I'll take 6 wins. That's progress, something I can buy into. Trubisky gonna play. What's your feeling on Mike Glennon? You guys in on Mike Glennon? Do you have any faith in Mike Glennon? Because I really don't. I mean, he's a guy who does things quarterbacks should do. Probably as average as anyone that I've ever seen. He's not mobile. He's got the length. He's got a decent arm. Not super strong. He's got decent arm. Accurate underneath. He's smart. Apparently, he's football smart. I don't know how intelligent smart he is. Hey, who am I to say? I'm a guy behind a mic. If I said that to Mike Glennon's face, I'm sure he would just smile and shake my hand and shake his head no. So, because who have we had to look at the quarterback position that we could say, oh, yes, I am buying in 100% that you are going to take us to the Super Bowl. You, that guy. It wasn't Cutler. Let's be honest. I'll be honest. I love Cutler. But it just wasn't going to work out in Chicago. And yeah, let me ask you something. Is there any name that pops out to you as a Chicago Bears football fan related to the quarterback position? Because it's Cutler, it's Jim McMahon, it's Jim Harbaugh because he was popular for a time, Sid Luckman, and that's about it, guys. Rex Grossman, you kidding me? Kyle Orton, Brian Griese, those guys are who come to mind at the quarterback position. I mean, there's been relatively no stability there for so long, so let's ride Trubisky. Let's make it happen, as much as we can. I mean, we're fans. How much do we influence a player? Did you see him riding in on a 97 Toyota Camry? I love it. It's hilarious. Rookies coming in, football, still a ways away. But let's ride the Trubisky train. We might as well, right? We're Bears fans. We're we're not used to seeing this stuff happen. Anyway, let's look into the depth chart unrelated to the quarterback position. I'm done talking about it. I'm sure you're tired of hearing about it. Let's look at it offensively first. I'm liking what they have going for them at the tight end position. Zach Miller, Deion Sims, quality guys. Adam Shaheen, high ceiling guy. I think it'll be entertaining throughout the entire season. Interior offensive line, good stuff. Sitting Whitehair Long, you got something there. You'd like to find someone who could replace potentially Sitton if he is lost for a different reason or another. Of course, you like the depth. Right now, they signed Tom Compton, a veteran tackle, offensive lineman who could be a tackle. Also could be a guard, but prefers tackle. So who knows? Maybe he plays well enough. I don't know. We'll see how much the Bears care about Charles Leno, because he projects to be the starting left tackle yet again. Bobby Massey started the year off poorly, especially in pass protection, but really played an influential role in Jordan Howard gaining all of his rushing yards. So this offensive line, I like it. Okay, you can't really complain. I mean, this is at least continuity-wise a solid group that's played together, and if you work together as a unit, you become better. So we'll continue to monitor that. Hopefully they're healthy. Jordan Howard, Jeremy Langford, Kadeem Carey, Tariq Cohen, Benny Cunningham at the running back position. Now let's move on. I talked about running backs enough. The wide receivers. Now, interesting, right? Kind of. I think Ryan Pace did a good job in free agency picking up Kendall Wright and Marcus Wheaton. Wheaton's a downfield stretch threat, right? Can make plays for you. Big plays for Mike Glennon, as long as he gets it to him, and as long as Wheaton stays healthy. And, of course, he beats his man, and all things go according to plan. The throws there. You get how football works. So Marcus Wheaton adds a little something to that Bears front, and then you move on to Kendall Wright, more of a possession wide receiver, kind of a veteran underneath guy with really replacing, in some context, Eddie Royal's position, right, in terms of spot on the roster, experience, what he's trying to do for the team, safety cushion. Maybe he builds a repertoire with Mike Glennon and Kendall Wright gets like 60 catches or something. That would be cool. Kevin White, mentioned him, needs to be healthy. And I think when he is healthy, he can do some things. I think he's shifty. I think he's quick with his feet. He can beat his defender. Obviously fast, can stretch the field. Please stay healthy. Show us what you can do. That's where we're looking at. Deontay Thompson and Josh Bellamy, two guys who I'm going to keep an eye on this year. Deontay Thompson, sneaky. Guys, he makes sneaky plays at that position. Bellamy, I know he struggled with drops, but he's got to be on this roster because he's valuable in special teams. So Bellamy and Thompson. Daniel Braverman, didn't really see much out of the 7th round draft pick last year. Everybody's super excited about the guy who can fly, but we'll see his role in this offense. I saved the best for last on purpose because Cameron Meredith impressed me so much, transitioning from a quarterback into the wide receiver role and really just dominating at the position, or at least moving forward to that point of domination, because this guy was stepping up in big time situations for Matt Barkley, for Brian Hoyer, very seldom for Cutler because Cutler was hurt. However, Cameron Meredith starting to make a name for himself as a legitimate wide receiver. Is he a number one? Maybe. I think he could be a very dominant slot receiver if he turns into that. But he's a number two, a nice compliment for someone, maybe Kevin White. I don't know. I don't think Kevin White's number one wide receiver caliber, but jury's still out. What do I know? I've seen him play like 3 games. Hey, gabish. So we're moving on. I don't know what that was, guys. What the hell? Defensively, I'm excited because finally I'm looking at this and there's depth, and there's talented depth, and that's what you need. Last season, we saw 19 players go on injured reserve. The majority of them were on the defensive side. I want to see guys at the quarterback position step up and freaking fight for your position. Mr. Kyle Fuller, come on, man, play. I want to see what you can do. I know your knee hurts and stuff, but man, you might lose your position to someone like DeAndre Hall if he makes some strides. Marcus Cooper, Prince Amukamara they signed. So what's the plan over there in the quarterback position? So I was hoping that they could maybe acquire one through the draft here, but they had to make a patchwork secondary, which we're kind of getting accustomed to seeing with the Chicago Bears team. Cravon LeBlanc, now I know it's on Vic Fangio to create different packages and use multiple defensive backs in his system on some plays, third down, whatever. DeAndre Hall, Cravon LeBlanc. We've seen a lot of LeBlanc last year. Pretty much took over. Tracy Porter's gone. See you later. Kyle Fuller, we need to see ya. Bryce Callahan, talented. Extremely talented. Could be a cover corner if he just stay healthy. So secondary questions at the cornerback position. However, there's a lot of talent. I think Marcus Cooper and Prince Amukamara. I know Amukamara on a 1-year deal. It just adds competition. And over on one side, we'll see what he can do. And I'm speaking of Amukamara. He didn't create any turnovers last year with Jacksonville. So, I mean, he's just a guy, hopefully he can cover, right? Isn't that the goal? Being a cornerback. Anyway, the safety position, talked about it a tiny bit. Quentin Demps and Adrian Amos. I feel pretty good about that. I like that. Could have been Budda Baker. Could have been Jamal Adams. But Adrian Amos is okay, I guess. Quentin Demps, he's a guy, right? So that's how it is. Still a work in progress. But that front seven, baby, it's happening. It's starting. I'm buying in, ladies and gentlemen. This front seven is going to be something to have a plan for. To be honest, it's something that doesn't want to be messed with. If Danny Trevathan becomes anything better than what we saw from him in his first year with the Bears last year, I know he got hurt, but man, he was kind of invisible all year long when he was on the field. Moving on to Leonard Floyd, coming off a big season before he got hurt in his rookie year. Pernell McPhee, I know he played hurt and spent a lot of time on the injured reserve list and then came back and played. It's good that he got some experience, but if you're hurt, dude, stop playing because we need you. Beast. Love Pernell McPhee. Great guy to have in the locker room as well. Eddie Goldman can turn into a really dominant nose guy if he ends up being in a 3-4 scheme consistently, in the rotation consistently, which we all assume that he will. Akeem Hicks had a big year. I like it, guys. The front seven is coming together, and it's giving me some sort of perception of what I believe the Bears can be in the near future. But with this total left turn that Ryan Pace made in the draft, in his third draft, I don't know. I just don't know, guys. I've been saying 6 and 10 on this specific segment. However, you don't. There's so many high ceiling guys, low floors. Man, they could be all busts. And the Bears, especially Trubisky, if Trubisky busts, Ryan Pace is going to have to write up a new resume, my man, because he's got to get it ready. He'll probably be fired if this Trubisky thing doesn't work out, but we're not going to know for a few years. And I think I've rambled enough about this Chicago Bears team, and I hope you enjoyed. I put a lot of time, a lot of effort into this product, so I very much appreciate you listening, sticking around for this whole segment here on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, drop a like and a comment down below. Let me know what you think. If you're a Bears fan and you've been listening to Behind the Pen for a long time, let me know in the comments, and I'll give you a shout out on next week's show. Thank you guys for sticking around for this segment of Behind the Pen. If you want more Most Valuable Podcast content, click on the video up above, because I don't know why you wouldn't want to keep listening to our voices every day. But again, guys, thank you all for listening. We really do appreciate you.